Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
We have a very, very special guest this week. She's a senior VP of Global Marketing at Ribbon, communication strategist, community leader, and producer, and also a radio host. She also has her own Bita's Kitchen site where she does all her cooking. She's just an all-around amazing person, amazing woman, amazing Iranian, amazing leader. I think we're just going to have a part one of a podcast of just telling you all her accomplishments, and we're going to actually have a part two with her. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce to everybody Bita Milanian. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Bita John.
I have, I love when I see young Iranian Americans taking leadership and doing cool things. And this is definitely a cool thing you guys are doing. So thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We appreciate it. So I'm just going to jump right into it. You have a very interesting story. I kind of want to get into the beginning of that. I know you moved to America when you were young from Germany. So what was that transition like for you?
Super duper, extremely hard. We left Iran during the Iran-Iraq War in 1986. And first immigrated to Germany and became refugees there. It was me and my mom first. Again, like you said at the beginning, like all of our stories have so many layers, so it's hard to it's unfair to cut it short, but at the same time we can't cover it on a podcast like this. But basically we moved to Germany first, my mom and I, and then one of my brothers joined us, and then my father joined a year later, and we were refugees there. But I really adapted myself quickly, as difficult as it was. I, excelled in school, learned in German language under 6 months, became very good at it. I learned it like a German, like it's called Hochdeutsch, like the High German language. And then, 2.5 years into it, I'm very much of a, part of the society there. I have friends, I have my own way of life, and everything was great. But it wasn't so great for my parents and my future either. So my parents had already applied to move to the US for our, to immigrate eventually here, which was the ultimate goal. And in 1989, when I was shy of 16 years old, I moved here and I turned 16 here.
Right. So, in the 80s when you were in Germany, Germany isn't as we know it today. Mm-hmm. I think it was, when did the wall come down in 91? 91, right? So it was still East and West. There was still a lot of things going on. So that's an interesting transition from going from one hostile environment to one just interesting political environment in Germany, and then onto the United States. Now, before we get any deeper into those conversations, we forgot our main piece that you told us to do this week.
Yeah.
Okay. Our noosh of the week. Vita, why don't you explain what our noosh of the week is?
Okay, our noosh of the week is something that I drink as regularly as possible. I always have it brewing in my kitchen. I drink it either hot or cold, and it's fresh ginger and fresh turmeric roots tea. You just clean it up, chop it up really fine, pour hot water on it, and you just let it simmer all day long. And you just, it's a great refreshing drink to enjoy versus having a caffeinated tea, but it's also cleansing, soothing, and all that good stuff. And again, you can have it hot or cold. So cheers.
And we'll repost the making of it from Bita's Instagram page.
Yes, we have the recipe.
Cheers,
there.
guys.
Cheers, everyone.
I love the variations of it.
I tried to go by that video as close as possible, but when I got to the store, it just fell apart.
Had to make sure there was lime in it, or it wouldn't be Iranian.
My whole concept with Bita's Kitchen, which we can talk about, is us taking a recipe and making it our own. That's what cooking is about.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Everyone has different styles.
So you talked about the transition, and then you talked about your transition. You were in the U.S. basically from the 90s on, and only in L.A., right?
Correct. I've always lived in L.A. since February 28, 1989, when we moved here, with the exception of moving to Toronto for 6 months when I started my professional career in telecom industry. My family had just started a startup company there, so I moved there. And then I kind of kicked off my career, and then I came back and I took a different path, still within the same industry. But I call myself an Angelino and a proud one. So I love LA, even though I love traveling the world, but this is still home.
Amazing.
So I'll actually kind of get into the whole career aspect now that you mention it. So I wanted to ask what the first job you had here after moving to America was. So was it at the start, your family startup?
No, I started working right when I turned 16. My parents started their lives here at 45 and 50 with zero. So they too had to also go back and get degrees and, accreditation for different things that they were trying to do. My mom was an accountant, so she went and got an accredit for that. But then she ended up working for the Los Angeles Department of Public Social Services for LA County. So she was a government employee for the past almost 30 years. She just retired. And my dad was a civil engineer, so he went and got his AutoCAD license at age 50. So they started their careers from zero again. So, as at the time, refugees and immigrants and coming here really with very little resources, if any, financial resources, I had to pay my own pocket money. I actually started my first job in Germany distributing magazines on my bicycle, middle of cold winters, and that's how I learned the concept.
And it's cold. It's cold.
Actually, where I lived in Cologne, current, it's like it's the valley, and there's like winds coming through your bones. So, yeah, I mean, us immigrant kids, especially that generation, we all had to hustle for our own pocket money, and us Persian kids, we like nice things. I like nice things from, right off the bat. I wanted to buy things for myself, and I knew my parents can't afford it. So I had to roll up the sleeve and do it myself. So my first job technically was when I was 14 or 15 in Germany, like, as I said, distributing magazines. But here in the US, I worked like many other kids, started in retail. So retail was my first job. In the gift wrap department. So we had fun times during Christmas.
Christmas was probably so busy.
Yeah.
I think you and I can sit for hours and talk about our experiences in retail.
Oh yeah, I love it. But the fun, I mean, I can tell you stories into stories. So I reunited with my two girlfriends from the gift wrap department. One of them was Mexican, one of them was Filipino, and me Persian. And we reunited after like almost 30 years.
It's a full party up in there.
Oh my God, it was crazy times back in that gift wrap department. But then I stayed in retail while going to college, and I always worked through college and high school. And, it was hard. I never really experienced the college life that maybe most kids experience today. So that's another thing that the, second generation immigrant kids that don't have to work, and, there was ways you figured it out, or you got scholarships. I didn't know about scholarships. I didn't know about grants. I didn't know about any of that. I didn't even know you have to apply for college. So like those things, that lack of information really sets you back. So, everybody should appreciate today, especially in our community, to have access to so much information, not just internet, but like the people around you that can give you guidance. So
I think even today, people don't have that information, even with all that abundance of information.
Yeah. So that's why there's like organizations like Parsi Quality Center, other organizations like that are helping immigrant communities. But back then it was even worse. I mean, we didn't even have internet to go Google something to get information. So
and
what were those days?
We as Iranians that are established here have to help our fellow immigrants coming over. Some come and don't even know what a social security number is. Something as very simple as that.
It's twice as hard for them because they have to start all over, even explaining like a phone plan to them, how to get a phone, how to establish a phone plan, how to pay your bills. Like, I feel like all of that is so different from how they do it in Iran.
Or just learning the language. For them, they have to work twice as hard to comprehend English and then revert it back. It's just, they just have to hustle harder.
Exactly. But yeah, so that was like, I did all retail, and I even in my retail days, I was always I made manager, or like I always excelled at that too, because that's just
a manager in retail, because I was one as well. That's a babysitter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a babysitter.
But back then was also different. Retail world was different. You were always busy. There was always like things happening. It's today's, I don't know. I think retail world is so different with online
shopping.
It's so different, and I think the experience at the retail stores is also different. But I also went into cosmetics, so it helped me. It was more fun learning a technique. Like I learned techniques actually, whether it was skincare or what have you. But then after college, that's when my family in Canada, it's a very well-known company in Toronto called Goldline Telemanagement. They have a product that's now gone consumer all over the world. It's a consumer product called GeoWiz, where our immigrant,
well, everybody knows GeoWiz.
Everywhere, even in our house.
There you go. So that's my cousin Neda and her husband Atom Moini who started the company. But at the time, it was not GeoWiz. It was something else. It was a telecom reselling service. So I moved to Canada, and we worked literally. I was almost 22. Yeah, I was 22. We worked long days. For those who have worked in startups, especially if it's a family startup, especially if the operation is in the basement of your house, you literally are working around the clock. You wake up, have your coffee, run down, work. And, it really, for somebody who had never worked in a business environment, it was like retail is so different than sitting behind your computer and dealing with business associates in Argentina and Germany. And again, that's when my German language came handy, because we did a lot of business with Germany. And, I think having that organizational skills and just the disciplinary mindset that I've always had since I was young, and Germany was definitely another it was another place another experience that just really structured my mind on how to work and how to be ethical. Like a lot of things that I know today, still I owe it to my 31 plus years ago living in Germany. So yeah, I really excelled with that too, and really helped build that network of sales organization that we're building around the world, reselling the services that we're offering. And I learned the business and the telco world there. And also on the technical side, I became interested. So I was kind of for my time, not having so many women in the telecom world, I became kind of a geek, learning all the technicalities. So when I came back to LA after 6 months, because it was just too hard being away from LA, my parents, and working with family and living together, was too much for me at the time.
You need some of that balance. I could concur with you on the telecommunications being a male-dominated world. I worked for AT&T for 10 years, and I was on the retail side, all of it. But I saw technicians and I saw engineers and whomever, and mostly men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that I've been very involved with the women in tech movement and encouraging young girls in getting involved with STEAM and all that stuff. But so when I came back to LA, it's funny that I tell this story because it's something that sometimes we miss. Sometimes younger generation or younger people, I should say, they think that they have to only focus in that one assignment and one area of, roles and responsibilities that they're given at their jobs. Whereas if they step outside of it, or they try to network with their peers in other departments and learn what they're doing, it makes them even more valuable to the company, because you can always step in, you can always, your next promotion can depend on how much more you know in that company. Right. And that's the reason when I came back right away, I got a job where I went in I was referred to go in as a customer service representative on behalf of another company that was part of this startup. And when I went to the interview, I had so much technical knowledge for that time for the products that we were selling, that the second interview, everybody had already been talking about me, because I had already shown how much I know. So it was really refreshing. It was rewarding to me that my hard work, those 6 months where I didn't really sleep much, and I was, doing so many things and trying to learn this business, is paying off. And I was hired as the head of customer service. It was the most amazing, rewarding moment in my career right off the bat. So, and, obviously people respect you more when you know more, and they give you chances, not necessarily not going to succeed at every chance that you're given or excel at it, but at least you're given the chance. So
right. You're given a chance to prove yourself, and you got to take advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah.
So I want to go into your role as Senior VP of marketing, right? Global marketing at Ribbon Communications. And then after I get a little bit into the women in tech, because I'm also a woman in tech. So I feel like I have a lot to learn from you and others.
Khano Mohandas.
It's funny, Hannah Khano Mohandas. It doesn't matter if you're Mohandas.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but she's the real one.
It's funny because I'm not a Mohandas, but as soon as I say I work in telecom world and they can't understand what that means, Khano Mohandas.
Yep, exactly. Instantly the label. But why don't you, if you can, walk us through a day of what it's like to be Senior VP at Ribbon Communications, but also because you juggle multiple jobs within, I'm assuming, your company and outside of it with your Bita's Kitchen and everything else you do, the humanitarian work. So what is it like in a day in your life as VP?
Tell us your day job.
And yeah.
2, 3, 4 day jobs. But no, I mean, obviously I thrive on doing different things. And, some people think you need to focus. I've been criticized that why aren't you focused? Well, this is my way of focusing. It's how I thrive every day to be able to accomplish different things that stimulate my mind and give me, drive me for the next day to do even more so. And, this is just how I feel best, But I have had my meltdowns and I've had my, health issues that has nothing to do with my drive in life. It has to do with not self-caring. That's the next topic we'll talk about probably. But a day in my life at my day job, working for a public telecommunications company. When I joined this company, it was called Genband in 2014. Where I was recruited after leaving the industry for 4 or 5 years, focusing my work in the Persian community and then being the founding executive director at the Founding Foundation, coming back to this industry, especially in this very, top, executive role, senior VP role for a public company was definitely a challenge for me. And again, I was given an opportunity by my previous CEOs and colleagues for whom I had worked in 2001. And they got involved with this company and they were bringing back new, management teams, and they recruited me. And even though I really didn't know much about this specific sector of the industry, I needed this change from what I was doing for 5 years, which was a very rewarding 5 years for me at Founding Foundation, but I was ready for my next move, my next challenge and growth opportunity. So coming here, it was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but how? Like, I need to go learn this whole new sector of the telco world, which was more hardware and backbone of infrastructures for carriers, it was a totally different world. But, I took the opportunity, this chance that I was given, and I worked hard. I was very hard to get, reacquainted with the industry, but I had so much support and amazing marketing team. And then we had to restructure the whole marketing team. And I work from LA. My team was mainly in Dallas, so a lot of traveling. So fast forward, it's been 6 years. We've been through many mergers and acquisitions. We've merged with another company. We merged with another company in November of 2017, which resulted in renaming and rebranding the company. And I was in charge of that. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences to go through all of that. Again, I learned some of it on the go from the peers, from the resources that I had. And we got to go and ring the bell at NASDAQ when we announced our new name manager. And, it was just, it's been.
I want to know about that.
Yeah, it was.
Tell me how cool
that's like
that was.
Arash's forte.
Yeah. So then, just recently we acquired another company in Israel this past November. So with COVID, it's been like my work life before COVID was travel, a lot of travel. I was not home much because again, I'm the only employee of now 4,000 living in Los Angeles, because majority of our employees are in Dallas or in Texas or East Coast or in other parts of the world. I'm the only one here. So my day, and then again, this new company we acquired, we're going through the integration process. There's a lot of that happens when you buy a company equal to your size. There are 2,000 people, we're 2,000 employees. So, and then all the integrations and the time differences. And
the logistics of putting two large companies together, when it's over 1,000 employees, it's a nightmare.
It's hard when it's 100 people, never mind 4,000. And then we have a brand CEO who's amazing, who just started as well. So he's, trying to make the best of this whole situation. But it's been really nice because we've become even closer as colleagues, because we see each other like this almost daily on a Zoom or on a Teams meeting. But my day usually starts these days around sometimes 5 a.m., sometimes 7 a.m. 7 a.m. is the latest that I would start, because sometimes the calls, and they're so kind, some of the calls that I need to be on, they make sure it's not too crazy early. And, we get a lot done using a lot of technology, and we were doing that previously, a lot of automation tools that we have, from Asana to Smartsheet to Teams to all these other available technologies that really made our lives easier during this COVID-19 period. And, lots of calls and conference calls and planning. And, we're producing that same, there was a conference that we're going to host actually in your neighborhood in Aventura that we had to cancel due to COVID. So now we're making it a virtual global event, but because of time zones, we're doing it 3 times. So producing a virtual event on the same day so that it goes back to back, just imagine that. So, my day is usually very long, but I make sure now, to, throw in my exercise, make sure I take time off.
How's your work-life balance? I mean, you have all these projects and work, but then you have a family, you have personal responsibilities too. How do you integrate all that
And
where
yourself
the
also.
family's kind of satisfied with the time that you're giving them?
It's something that I've had to learn the hard way. You know, the whole Bita's Kitchen that I started was essentially me realizing at some point when I had some health issues that, you know, you need to take a break, you know, for a very long time, starting when I started doing the work in the community with the cultural stuff with Fahang Foundation, and then going into this job straight, traveling 60% of the time, took a huge toll on me physically. And, you know, in those days, I literally didn't sleep much. We were, you know, startup nonprofit with a lot of programs. You know, we did so much with Fahang at the early years. And then when I went to this job, you know, obviously the stress of learning this industry, learning the new job, managing, you know, 20, 30 people all over the world, you know, managing people next door to you is hard. Never mind managing people remotely. Yeah. Travel is like, I can't tell you the effect of the negative effects of travel. People who are always on the road, I guarantee they're not healthy people unless they're super disciplined and they work out on the go. You know, eating healthy becomes challenging. So all of that took a toll on me, and I had a kind of a meltdown. All my hormones were off, and it just was a mess. So
yeah, and I could concur. Traveling takes a toll on your body. I mean, I was out of town for 3 weekends in a row for leisure, all leisure, and it was all Friday, Sunday. And I was exhausted after the second week. And it wasn't for work either. It was, and then on top of that, you have to get into whatever city you're going to and work and perform your duties as you know, the SVP of the company.
Which was always the case for me. You know, you get up, you need to get adjusted first. Then you go work. Then there's always dinners or there's something afterwards or what have you. By the time you get to your hotel room, you need to catch up with home. And like the sleeping schedule, that was actually the worst part of my not self-caring, was not sleeping properly, not having enough sleep. And I always used to like be like, I don't need a lot of sleep. I still don't need a lot of sleep, but you need to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a major factor. I mean, that's why they recommend 7 to 8 hours a day, because you just put your body through a lot and it just needs time to reset. You know?
You may think you're invincible in the moment for a few weeks. You're getting everything done, and then it'll all come crashing down on you.
I know 4 shots of espresso works, but not every day.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, now I make a point that, you know, I don't work after, like, I mean, unless there's a huge, like, you know, those mergers and acquisitions, it's 24/7. You're up for hours and hours, especially, you know, when you have announcements happening at 6 a.m. Eastern, that means I have to get up at 2 a.m. here. So there's like special moments like that. But generally speaking, I try to shut down, not at least working, you know, after like 5, 6 o'clock, 7, 8 o'clock. Sometimes I come check my emails before going to bed. But it's so important to, at some point, cut it work-wise. And obviously we're all on our phones with social media, all the other stuff that I have to do.
We're never truly disconnected unless we throw our phone across the room.
A lot of people just turn off their phones at a certain time, just leave it outside the room.
I do. I charge it in a different room. I don't want my laptop or my phone charging and like right by my bed.
That's so good. That's so important. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could get rid of my phone. Oh my God. You guys should do an episode with my husband making fun of me I'm so much better now, making fun of me, reading my emails and my reactions. He obviously exaggerates, but oh my God, whenever I feel like I need a little bit of a laugh, I'm like, Bruce, can you please make fun of me reading my emails early morning?
Maybe that's a little series we can have on the side. Just you reading
emails. He does such a good job, and like all my expressions, and like when I curse and when I like, what did this person
That's a good thing about remote work, right? Well, you always work remote from your team, but when someone sends an email at 10 p.m., you can just curse them out in front of your phone in the comfort of your own house instead of people hearing
you. Get the rage out of your system, then respond professionally,
exactly.
Right?
No, but it's funny how he like imitates my reactions. It's hilarious. I have.
You should make definitely make a series on that. Maybe not a series.
We'll have the series on our podcast.
No, I think it's so important to make fun of yourself, and I have such high tolerance for that, and I love it when he does it. So so my days are crazy busy, intense, you know, and obviously I do a lot of other, you know, community work, volunteer work, you know, my own, like I tried to do this whole cooking thing that I started sharing my videos before Instagram was as hot as it is today on Facebook, and it started becoming popular. And 2 years ago, August 31st, coming up, I woke up one Friday. I'm like, you know what? You've been posting a lot of this food stuff on your personal, feed on Instagram. That's by then Instagram had like picked up a little bit. And why don't you just start it? And the marketeer in me, I just, did the whole, no, I gotta brand this, I gotta do this right. So that's how this whole Bita Kitchen official got started. And today I hit over 10,000 followers. I'm
Congratulations.
Oh, congrats.
With Instagram, you hit 10,000, you get privileges. So
You get the sweep up.
You have those now.
So I'm really like, I'm so like excited about this because it's truly labor of love, and every single person on that feed is following me because they're interested in my content. My engagement is so high. It's not about the number, it's about the engagement. For me, being a marketing person, those things matter to me. So I'm so proud of it, and I'm so thankful for everybody appreciating me sharing this experience. For me, this whole cooking thing has become therapeutic for me while I self-care, and I just share it with love, and I'm so thankful that people have appreciated it.
And I will compliment you on I saw a video today about your Tahdig flip.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
Profile featured it. I'm like, that's why I hit the 10,000, I think. But I think I was close. I was like 9,700 or something before.
But who's counting?
It's just rewarding, and it's not the number. It's just like, oh my gosh, people really are interested in what you're doing when you're doing it because you're doing it just because. It's not a business or what have you. But
and you're building yourself a little community, so it's cute.
Yes, and you never know where that goes. So it's important in your career. It's important to be focused, to excel at your work, but it's also now more than ever to have extracurricular activities, things that you're passionate about, pursue your passion. Some people, oh, wow, you do that. I really like doing that, but I don't know. I'm so busy with my work. You make time for things that are important to you. And, it's amazing how much you can get done in one day if you really want to.
You have to fulfill like what you want to do, because let's face it, corporate America eventually sucks your soul, and you have to do things outside of that make you happy.
I already feel like corporate America sucked my soul after a year. So I'm like terrified of going past this. But really quick, I know Mata wants to get into some questions of Bita's Kitchen, but I want to get the corporate stuff out of the way. So as a fellow woman in tech, it's really frustrating sometimes, even when I was in college and even now at my job. This is my first job, so it's kind of hard adjusting. But it can be really frustrating and upsetting because it almost feels like sometimes you're in a sea of males and you're not being rewarded or recognized for what you're doing, and you have to work like triple what they do to even be recognized for one small thing, or comments of like that so-and-so person's too bossy, or too negative things that they say that a man would be praised.
You're in a mood today.
This always gets me heated because I feel like women, when they're getting things done, they're told they're bossy and other things I don't want to say, but men are seen as leaders. So how did you deal with that? If you had to deal with that, I'm assuming, like, how did you deal with that negativity, and what did you do to keep pushing yourself forward? And any advice you have for women that were in your shoes?
When I was your age, these things, I was oblivious to them. I didn't even think about them. Like it was because I wasn't informed. I didn't think I'm being treated that way. I thought my boss is just being bossy, or my male boss is just being it's also, I just mentioned this to somebody else. I think it was also a cultural thing that you by default respect whoever is older than you. And in my scenario, having worked in a male dominated industry, my senior leader or whoever I had to report to was a male. So I didn't think in the context of, oh, he's being, or if there were being, I didn't think of them, oh, it's a male that's asking. I always thought it was buzurgtaran. Somebody who's like senior asking me to do. But then obviously as time went by, as you grow in your roles and you gain the respect, then that's when you get to own it more so, and you get to push back. And your generation is lucky that you have access to this information, that, oh, when somebody tells me I'm bossy, I'm allowed, or it's okay for me to respond to that or say something that's, corrective to that, not correct comment.
And keep going
and not allow that to stop you. I've also seen a lot of women give up because they were not given out. So it's a fine line for you to like maneuver around, but I'm so happy to see that so many, I mean, at the same time, I have to say I've had so many men that have supported me in my career early on. To this day, I can say there were more men that really gave me chances than women. So, and there were women that actually tried to pull me back down in business world. So I never personally tried to get too hung up on the whole, gender equality thing. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Please don't get me wrong, because some people may think, oh, she's dismissing it. No, I'm not dismissing it. It's there. But I don't know. I somehow tried to be above it and like not like let it like take me down and just push forward. I'm not saying it's easy.
I also think toxic masculinity is an all-time high nowadays. So.
I wonder why. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's great advice. And personally, I'm trying to keep positive and keep going. But sometimes comments like that really bother me.
I wasn't even in the tech world when I was in my, in my community work, especially, with our community, I'm not, it's a fact that we're not very process oriented, or we don't follow what we say we're going to do. Oh, hala ebi nadire, let's do it this way. Let's try it. I don't operate like that, and that's not how.
You gave me chills.
I know, yeah.
You set your mission statement, you set your path, and you set your guidelines, and you stick to it, and that's how you grow. Yes, you make modifications to improve it, but you don't go like this
winging it.
You don't go the other direction.
Yeah, on course.
I was always very like German in that regards, very, process oriented, very strict about things, and had high expectations of projects. And I was labeled even in my community work, oh, she's so bossy. Oh, she's such a, bitch or whatever. But then at the end, the outcome and the result was like grand and beautiful. And that's when they would say, oh, wow, that's why she was doing it that way. So, but again, if I was a male figure, they would have said, oh, he's tough, but he's tough.
Getting
let's
things
keep going.
done.
Let's keep
Right. Dismiss it. Right.
And again, this is not about bashing men. This is nothing like that. It's just how culturally all societies, Persians, non-Persians, it's just something that's across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know in your heart, I've always known in my heart, I've had my own, battles with myself. Did you really do this the right way, Bita? Were you kind? Were you loving? Were you mean there? Like I have my own conversation with myself all the time, that I probe myself, that sometimes if I'm criticized, I go into my own, little world and talk to myself and try to assess what it is that's being said about me. Most of the time, I don't think it's true, but sometimes maybe I was wrong in that moment. But generally speaking, if you in your own heart know that you're doing the right thing, you have all the good intentions and you're working hard, I wouldn't, now with my age and where I am, I don't let that stop me. Not that it doesn't hurt me sometimes, but I just don't let it set me back. Again, with experience and some like wounds all over your body, once you'll be okay one day.
Freight train is moving all the way.
You'll be numb to it.
Non-stop.
I know guys have it tough too, their own way. I mean, it's tough for everybody. I'm telling you, it's not easy these days, and the competition is so fierce. It's just, I don't know. It's not easy, but you just got to keep marching forward. And for me, power of networking and building my network and my Rolodex and the trust that I have built with people that know me and know them and the things that I've done for them, it's been my asset, and I think will be my forever asset that nobody can take away from me but myself with my own action.
So am I playing my small violin if I say I work with 90% women and I feel singled out sometimes?
You can join in the conversation.
Yeah, you can join. I feel like that's
I always join. You guys know me by now. I always join in the conversation.
I think this, it's not about, I think if there is a balance, there's just going to be having both sides in the game of whatever it is, or in the workplace or whatever. I think it just brings, the diversity thing is so important. I don't know. We all grew up with moms and sisters and cousins, girl cousins. Like, I mean, it was fun, right? It was like, it's like, why not? Like, why not have that across the board?
Right.
Absolutely.
We had a good integrative mix, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's great advice for people.
That's great advice for all women, really. And it's not just about immigrant women. It's just women in general.
Women in general. Yeah.
It's okay to be an engineer and go to these male-dominated industries and perform and work and do all these things. And going back to the your cooking page and the things you do with that, your Bita's Kitchen. Mata, for example, she told me today, and now that she said it, oh yeah, she's right. That actually chefs, what industry is that? Cooking industry, restaurant industry. It's a male-dominated world as well, right? And then
Yet it's mostly women that are expected to cook at home. I always like, what is that all about? Like, yeah.
You kind of brushed up on everything I wanted to ask you about Bita's Kitchen already. But what do you think really helped you grow Bita's Kitchen to the following you've reached today?
I think being authentic is so important, and that's what people saw in my kitchen profile early on. I essentially shared whatever I cooked that day, the way I did it, how it made me feel, whether it was tasteful, tasty, whether it was pretty, whether it was for my guests or for my grandkids or whoever it was. I shared it real time in a very genuine way. And I think there's a lot of that's what's missing. A lot of that is missing out there. And it's taken me 2 years to get to this place that I am. It didn't happen overnight. Obviously, I didn't do it full time. I did it whenever I had some spare time. I've had highs and peaks depending on my work schedule. But I think it's so important in anything that you do to be authentic, to be creative, to be original, to come up with your own way of doing it. As small as it might be, don't be afraid to explore. And sometimes people think about doing it a certain way or differently, but they're too afraid that what are people going to think? No, I'm going to stick to this cookie cutter thing that I have created. Whereas I think being a disruptor and doing it out of the box, it's what people appreciate. And that's what the world wants. The world wants to see different and out of the box and out of the norm. So I think that's
you don't want to be the because let's face it, we post all of this stuff on social media, whether it's a cooking page or a vlog or this podcast or whatever content it is. It goes on Instagram and it goes on the various other portals. You don't want to just be like, oh, there's another cooking page and just keep scrolling. Mm-hmm. Like you said, be authentic, put your personality in it maybe, or just make sure it's you. I'm not gonna come and make a cooking page and copy your style.
Right. Just to make the food, ta-da.
I'm going to be me.
And the point of making that and following that passion is that everyone is unique in how they do it. Just like how you were saying, every cook and chef makes recipes differently. Every person who, talks about certain topics, touches on different parts of it. So everyone, if they're authentic, then it'll be more variation. If everyone was the same, it's 10,000 cooking accounts that are all posting chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, everyone would be doing it, right?
Now, I will say, Mata has a cooking page, and her stuff, I've eaten a couple things from the page, right? I think you gave me the Don Marquis.
Selected some items for delivery.
Yeah, and it was something else you gave me that was delicious. I forget off the top of my head right now. And then she challenged me to make, what was it? A carrot cake?
I already forgot.
Carrot cake.
But they told me to put 6 cups of sugar.
Do you do more
I
baking?
didn't say that.
I know.
I
made the carrot cake and it was a lot of sugar, but
you have to have sugar in it, I guess. Yeah.
6 cups?
Yes. There's glaze, there's frosting, there's everything.
You just eat it. Don't make it, because if you want to know what's in a cake, then this is the reaction. So
you got a good point.
Yeah, if you're asking, you shouldn't be.
Don't ask, don't tell.
it's good not to know. Just enjoy it.
Exactly.
So Bita John, I wanted to ask and get into about the census work that you do. I thought that was really interesting about you because you don't hear much representation in that department for us. So I was watching that you started this about 10 years ago. The census about every 10 years now. So you started.
Like you said, U.S. Census takes place every 10 years, where every single American living in the U.S., residing in the U.S. gets counted. And with that, there is a $670 billion budget that's allocated, federal budget that's allocated to be split across the nation. And it's all based on the result of the surveys that are sent out, the census survey. The Iranian American community has not been categorized as an ethnic group, as a minority group in America, like, the Chinese community, Italian community has been over the years. Right. And we did this actually being every 10 years, a smaller group started informing the community in the year 2000. I wasn't involved with that. It wasn't a very formalized way. In 2010, I was hired by 3 nonprofits at the time, PAYA, Farhang Foundation. There was another organization called Parsa out of San Francisco, who basically wanted to make sure that the Iranian American community is aware of the census and participates in it, which was a collaboration as part of an initiative that U.S. Census puts out called the Complete Count Committee, that every minority group, every ethnic group needs to create their own Complete Count Committee to work with the census. And that's what we created, the Iranian Complete Count Committee. Well, in 2010, despite all of our hard work and all the PSAs, so many, celebrities and community leaders and from Moz to late Mr. Badi to Dr. Nadir, everybody came on and helped us raise awareness about it. And unfortunately, and the ask was that make sure you respond to the census and write in Iranian. At the time, we had given them 4 choices to write in. And the results came back.
And they still messed it up. Wow. Imagine that.
Very disappointed. It was under 400,000, 360,000. And we all know just in California, we probably have over.
That's half of that. That's only a quarter of the Iranians in LA.
LA, yeah.
Forward to 2020, again, the U.S. Census always has field representatives that are assigned to different minority communities. So we had representatives this year again who were Iranian, hired by the census to go out and do these outreach. So again, the community came together, different members of, from media to everyday people. They put together a committee and they elected me as the committee chair, again, for the Iranian Complete Count Committee. And having had access to the Iranians Count social media profiles that I had built back then, we reignited this campaign. And because of COVID-19, the extension has been extended through September 30th. Unfortunately, due to COVID, due to a lot of issues that happened, with Iran in, late 2019 with the protests and the airplane crash and then the COVID thing. So everything just people's attention span
was off, right?
So, and I'm hoping that a lot of people listened to us when we did the full-on campaign, and everybody kind of fizzled away, the committee members, but we have 30 days left, essentially.
Plenty of time.
And
I think this year is the first time they did it online as well.
I have a question. So compared to right now, we're in 2020, you did this campaign first for the 2010 census.
Right.
Do you feel that, obviously with social media, do you feel like there's a lot more traction now?
I hope so. And we, unfortunately, the force that was together promoting it, we have over 30 partners, community organization partners. I don't see them active promoting it either, because I think everybody's attention went all over the place. Yeah. And I've been busy myself to not pushing. So I have committed myself starting, today, which is 30 days countdown to September 30th, to really push and ask organizations, individuals like yourselves. We're going to do lives on Instagram with the different spokespeople that were on the PSAs, and we're just going to push it out. And hopefully many people, I guarantee you, many people have not responded. And we need to hit the 1 million mark in order to be accounted as a minority group and within the census categorization. With that comes so many benefits, which, people can go on iranianscount.org. It has all the details on there, or they can follow at Iranians Count to get the information, or they can go straight to 2020census.gov. It's only 10 very short questions, basic questions. And question number 9, we're asking everybody to check any box that they identify themselves with as a race and write Iranian underneath it. That's it. That's all they have to do.
Very simple, right?
Easy.
So let me ask you something following up with the census thing. Why do you think, and I don't want to phrase this the wrong way, there's a stigma of Iranians not wanting to put that they're Iranian on this questionnaire?
Well, I think it's not just Iranians that have the stigma. If the census actually talks about it, if you've caught it.
Well, yeah, the census in general, people have issues with it. Yeah.
Minority groups in general have even more so. They feel like if they're giving their information that, they're going to be recorded somewhere, they're going to be monitored, or if they're not legal, they're going to come knock on their doors, because this has nothing to do with your residence. As long as you live in America, it's independent from your status. So as long as you're here legally, you should participate. And
right, and let me tell you, they know that you're here.
Exactly, and
and wait till you find out about a driver's license and your picture and everything's on there.
Yeah.
Thing is, if you go and they think the information they're giving, if you go look at the questions, you give more information once you sign up on Instagram or Facebook or shop online.
Right. It's so general, the information.
If they want the information, they can get it.
Yeah. So,
if you already put your information on TikTok, you can put it on the census.
There you go. So, the reason the census has to do it because it has to be a formal process of tabulation of that information. Otherwise, the census cannot, due to privacy reasons, cannot go ask, the Social Security Department or other places to give that information. So it has to be an independent party, and the census is very strict about not sharing that data with any other agencies. There's a whole protocol around it. This is not a joke. So it's not the Iranian community, and most ethnic communities, minority communities have this issue. So they also have their own complete count committees pushing the same messaging that it's important to participate. So Iranians have done incredible things in America over the past 4 decades.
Absolutely. We have so many great Iranians.
And
successful too in this country.
Successful, super.
We have the most number of CEOs in Fortune 500 in Silicon Valley, and for us not to have a voice, for us not to be accounted for as a minority group. Yes, we're overachievers. We want to do this quickly. Some of these communities have been here for hundreds of years, and that's when they got their status. But we we've done the fast track, and we've really proven ourselves that we are part of this society. We are part of America. We are giving back. And for us not to have that categorization, not just for the next generation who's gonna benefit from it, because it's important for next generation too, but also for our grandparents and our parents who are gonna retire here and they're gonna need services in this country from whatever it is. So
right.
The list is long. So we rely on, organizations and partners that are helping us, people like yourselves in schools with younger generation. The other question that we always get asked, because it kind of relates to you guys, that parents ask, well, my kids were born here. Do I still mark them as Iranian? Yes, you do, because it's what you identify yourself with, and your children identify themselves with their heritage being Iranian. It has nothing to do with their citizenship. Yes, they're also as much Iranian. They're also American. And so this is really just to account for how many of us there are Latinos and there are Italian Americans that have been here for generations after generations, but they will still write Italian. They actually have a box, and we want to get that box.
Yeah, we need that box. So basically what you're saying, Arta, is that if you drink dur, you're Iranian. you write that in. Okay?
Of course, and acquire a lot of gold and oil.
But that's
if you own more than 2 pieces of Gucci, you're Iranian.
Yeah.
But that's a really good point too, because people like us who our parents immigrated here from Iran, we're all really tied to the Iranian culture, us four, but there's a lot of people that I personally know and a lot of us know whose parents immigrated here from Iran, and they just completely shy away from being
they completely deleted that Iranian culture. They have the full Iranian name.
Exactly. Full Iranian
name. Their children. That's not fair.
But I have to tell you, media and political climate plays a huge role with that too. I witnessed the change in your generation, similar children who were born here or were very young who didn't want to say they're Iranian suddenly change and became proud Persians when Iran won in the World Cup against the US.
Yes, absolutely.
And all the younger generation, oh my gosh, we succeed in that area. We're in so, but then negativity talked about Iran, and that's another reason I think we had issues with people not really be interested, even organizations, to promote and push the census this time around. It's when we had all the political turmoil and stuff happening in Iran and being perceived negatively here in the US. People whoa, I'm not going to say I'm Iranian. Forget that. I'm not going to give my information. So that has a lot to do with it too, unfortunately. So we need to be above that and not allow those things to stop us from, keep pushing.
And to your point, it was kind of in 98 when we beat the US in the World Cup. I was a young kid then, but yeah, I'm Iranian. And then came around 2003, Axis of Evil. 2001. And then it's kind of you shy away from it then, and then slowly it came back up.
So and now it's back down. So
and
no, not anymore. Too. Not anymore. No more back down.
But I think we're still regarded highly here. People when they hear say our names, oh, okay, I hear good things.
It's because of all the work that we're doing. I think it's changing the perception. But generally speaking, when it comes to the census, when something like that happens, people were But I'm so happy to see so much movement on the political front, so many Iranian Americans getting involved in different roles in the office, and whether it's local level at their city council level, all the way to, having somebody run for Congress in Texas. Like, it's just so refreshing to see, and we need more of us.
We have one in Orlando. She's a state representative.
Yeah, we need more people in public service. So
that was actually going to be one of my questions for you, that Bita Jan, like, with all your accomplishments in the corporate world and the progressive work that you've done in the Persian community, like, has there been a time for you that you've considered entering like the political realm of the country? We'd love to see more representation.
Hold on, are you going to announce your run for office here on Monday, Noosh?
That'd be buzz right there. I mean, because you see a lot of more diverse minorities entering.
He's my campaign manager. We just didn't want to say it before, but
who is it? Your voice got cut off. Who's your campaign manager? We got to get it clear.
No, we're joking. It's a interesting question, because I've been asked whether or not I should not asked. I've been told you should run for city council, you should run for Congress. I've been asked that, and again, rewind. I haven't been as open and as vocal about my political views and my passion about justice around for especially for Iranians and for immigrant communities until the travel ban. I really was very quiet up until then. I've done a lot of PR and publicity work for artists and nonprofits, and whenever I had somebody come to me ask me to get involved with their political campaign, I always said no, because I just wanted to separate my line of work from politics. And I think I also felt like I wasn't mature enough, 5-10 years ago. I feel like to go into politics.
We have the most immature person running the office right now. I think you're okay in that sense.
It's time for me, for my standards and where I was in my career and life. And ever since travel ban, I shifted. And mind you, I was working for a nonprofit that was a non-political entity, Fahrenheit Foundation, and being involved with that helped. I was more reserved in expressing my views, and then I went into corporate world and been busy, and thankfully everything was calm and everything was fine until we had the travel ban. And ever since travel ban, I just had my aha moment, like, you cannot be quiet anymore, you need to use your platform and your voice just like everybody else. That's why it's disappointing to me when I see people with much larger platforms and opportunity to make a change and vocalize injustices, and they don't do it. It really, that's one thing that's bothers me when I see that. But you never know. I always say no, but we'll see. Never say never. So
never say never, right?
Near term, maybe long term.
Well, I mean, if you do run for something, obviously we can't vote for you because you're in California and we're in Florida, but I am willing to come out. I am willing to come out to California and pass out flyers and honk horns and and do whatever it is.
Campaign.
And talking about the travel ban, to your point, I made it a thing with the travel ban to tell people who aren't immigrants, like on a one-on-one basis, why this travel ban is BS.
Mm-hmm.
And my first question is, have you ever been through the immigration process? And if the answer is no, then end of discussion.
They don't understand.
Know how difficult it already is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very hard to immigrate to this country and go through the naturalization.
More people, more talks like this needs to take place, telling immigrants, telling their stories. That's why I do it in my own way. You guys are doing it in your own way. We have to educate. We have to inform those that, Americans have never experienced war, civil war. They've never really experienced anything traumatic that really has taken away their, and this is the first time in history that, we all look to America as a place to come to to flourish, to have peace and freedom and, all that good stuff. And now all of that is going away. And a lot of people are confused in America who have not really experienced what your parents, you, me, everybody else has experienced. So it's our job now more than ever to tell these stories and to educate more than ever before.
And I think it's not really, I think it's not really a matter of political party at this point. It shouldn't be, with everything going on in the country related to Black Lives Matter, related to immigrants, women's rights. I mean, there's every single day you wake up and there's a different headline. I don't want to get political, but it's not about, oh, you're a Democrat, oh, you're a Republican. It's really everyone needs to use their platform, whether you have 10 followers or 10,000 followers, and just fight for what's right, fight for justice, and spread awareness in every possible way you can, just like you are for the census and, other issues related to Iranians. So I think that's right now is when everyone needs to really step up and just put the whole party differences aside.
Not about the party.
Yeah.
Well said.
It's just about being a good human.
Exactly. Fighting for what's right.
Exactly.
So now we're going to get into the most fun segment, which is kind of a rapid fire.
Fun.
But it doesn't have to be so rapid. You can kind of explain yourself if you need to. Sometimes we judge, sometimes we don't.
Judge-free zone.
So I'm going to let Mahta start it off and go with the questions that she has burning on her notepad right now.
All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Favorite dish to cook?
Pasta.
Oh, okay. I think Italian's my favorite cuisine. So
Follow up. What type?
I make the most badass plain tomato, garlic, basil, spaghettini. That's it. The most basic. That's all.
I used to be a pasta cook
Really?
at a restaurant. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. You got to keep it simple. All fresh ingredients, and you're good to go.
I can tell you, I could confirm that we did not use fresh ingredients.
Oh.
Don't name names.
I can't eat pasta anywhere anymore. Bruce, my husband, is also a pastaholic, and whenever I ask him, what do you want? It's either that, just make your version of pasta. I can't get it anywhere else, or it's chicken and rice, polomor with zeresh. Those are the two basic.
Can't go wrong with that.
Everybody's happy. Yeah.
one city you've always wanted to travel to?
Buenos Aires.
And then your favorite city you've traveled to?
New York.
Are you more of a sunrise or a sunset kind of gal?
Can I answer that for you?
No, sunrise, I guess, because I'm always up early. Yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say you're in California, so you love the sunset.
Yeah, I said sunset, but then I'm always up early and I'm always posting videos of sunrise. So I guess both. Yeah, but we have beautiful sunsets here at the ocean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with COVID, we've been going out to the beach a lot, like as our outing, and meet up friends
Right.
there. So on Ocean and Santa Monica or Wilshire, you see the beautiful
Yeah,
sunset.
Iranians are like itching to throw like the largest mehmuni there could ever be after we can.
Yeah,
We can get out
After
of this
canceling
mess.
Nowruz, they need a banger.
exactly. Hopefully it's over by then, yeah.
Your most important self-care tip that you would pass on to someone else?
Sleep.
Sleep.
Enough sleep, yeah.
Very important. Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, something you do daily that you encourage others to do.
Drink turmeric,
Drink
ginger.
turmeric
and-
tea. Yeah.
Basically drink lots of fluids, whether it's, water is hard to drink a lot of water. I don't like it. So this is my alternative. So it really makes a difference. Until I had all these health issues, didn't realize how important it is until I tried to do that, whether it's with this or mint tea or something liquid. Just keeping hydrated makes a huge difference and gives you energy and cleanses you and all that good stuff.
Correct.
Thank you.
So I have more of a food rapid fire.
Bring it on.
Okay. So ghorme sabzi or khoresh karafs?
It's a hard decision. Oh,
See? Karafs.
Yeah.
wow.
Right in line. Potato tadig or regular tadig?
Regular tadik, my version.
Okay.
Okay. That's fair.
What is your favorite Iranian mixed rice?
Lubia polo.
Nice. With salad shirazi on the side?
And then I like to make my salad shirazi spicy with jalapeno because I like a kick. So the whole...
I'm going to try that.
I like that, yeah.
The lemon juice.
Incorporating different cultures into ours. Love it.
No, we have it. Irani to Iran, like I have tiny...
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
I've seen it.
They like it sweet, though. They don't need the...
Some of them are pretty spicy. Yeah, but here we use jalapeno more. Like the Thai chili peppers, those tiny...
Yeah, the thinner ones.
Kubide or barg?
Well, I don't eat meat anymore, but if I were to eat, then it would be kubide. When I did eat, it was kubide.
See, a woman of class.
Well, let me ask with the ice cream too. Falude or sonati?
Mix.
Mix.
Yes, mix.
I'm gonna go like that.
Together.
Yeah.
We haven't asked this question to anybody yet. What's your favorite Iranian accent?
Oh.
I have to say Azeri, so I keep it safe because I'm half Azeri. So
So Bita, right now you have your radio shows. It's once a week, right?
Once a month, actually.
Once a month. I'm sorry. It's called the Be the Change. It's on Radio Iran. So I encourage everybody to go find that on what platform can us outside of LA listen to that?
It's on socalpersian.com, but I also archive it on my own Instagram page and also on my YouTube page. So if anybody comes on Bita Milanian, either on YouTube or on my Instagram, they can also find it there, and also Facebook as well.
Okay. So we'll tag all of that stuff in our socials so our followers can get into that. For everybody who wants to follow Bita, her Instagram is at Bita Milanian. For the census and information about that, it's at Iranians Count. And then, of course, her cooking page, Bita Kitchen Official. And I'm going to be
10,000.
Just hit 10,000. Yes. Bita, thank you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your already busy schedule.
I had so much fun, guys.
And dealing with our foolishness for all the time that you did.
Real quick, before we end, in our challenge, our news challenge that Bita gave us was to share the Iranians Count page with 10 of our friends, and we'll share it, like Arash said, on the Monday Noosh account, and encourage everyone who hasn't filled out the census yet to put Iranian under question 9. That was our challenge. Yeah. I wanted to throw that in there. But thank you, Bita.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Inspire me. You guys are the hope for the future, and I can't wait to be there for your ringing, whether it's at the NASDAQ to cheer you on, or whether you guys running for office, or Khanum Mohandes being the next innovator in tech, or whatever else your passions are. You guys are inspiring to me, and I'm here for you anytime, day or night. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. We
Thank
really appreciate
you.
having you on. Thank you.
Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.